Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tanzil Mirza. Today we install javafx on our machine, and if time permits we'll write a small hello world program also, just to make sure that everything is working fine. But before we start, let me give you a quick history of javafx. On the official website of Oracle, the definition of javafx is given like this. Let me zoom in. So it says javafx is a set of graphics and media packages that enables developers to design, create, test, debug and deploy rich client applications that operate consistently across diverse platforms. So basically it is saying that you can create some of the best Java applications with a beautiful UI UX, something like this, maybe like this. Just as an example, I'm showing you this. Okay, so you can create many more applications like this. It's just you and your creativity. So till JDK 8, javafx was an integral part of Java package, but around September, maybe September 2018, if I'm not wrong, it was decided to separate javafx from Java package, and this news was announced all over the internet. Okay, this news, starting with JDK 11, javafx will be available as a separate module decoupled from JDK. So this news was announced all over the internet, and every Java developer knows about this decision. So that being said, if you are working on JDK 11 or above like me, and you also want some GUI for your application, then you will have to install javafx on your machine manually, because now it doesn't comes with the JDK package automatically. Okay, so you have to install on your machine separately manually. Usually it's a very simple straightforward process, especially if you are using Windows, but sometimes what happens, we need someone to give us a walkthrough, because the documentation is quite confusing. It's not very understandable for everyone, especially if you are a beginner. So of course you can read the official documentation, which is here. The website is openjfx.io. Yeah, so this is the website, and yeah, you can go through the official documentation and install javafx by yourself. But if you want a straightforward answer, if you want a straightforward way, then this video is for you. And actually there is no difference between this documentation, this entire documentation, and this video. That's because the documentation is actually here. If you scroll down, yeah, here the documentation is actually here, but there is no specific difference between, no major difference between this documentation and this video. That's because I also followed the same documentation. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just showing you whatever I followed from this documentation here. Okay, so feel free to follow along, but let me first show you the local setup that I am using. So my setup is this. I'm using JDK 11, Java 11 I'm using, and the IDE that I'm using is Eclipse June 2021, the latest one, and the operating system is Linux Mint 19. I don't remember, it's 19 or 20, but yeah, it's Linux Mint. Okay, now let's go to the Eclipse. Let me minimize this, it's not required for now. Let me go back to the IDE. See, I do not have any project of any kind right now, so we'll have a fresh start today. But first thing first, download javafx from its official website, which is openjfx.io, which I just showed you here. Okay, first of all we'll have to download that. Just scroll up, and somewhere here it is, this download. Just click on download. So there are many versions, as you can see, there are many versions available. There are many releases available. If you scroll down, there are latest releases. Okay, this section contains the latest release, then access early build. So many things are there, but I am looking for a stable release. I am looking for LTS releases, which is in this section. And since we are using Linux Mint, we are using Linux, we'll download this guy, javafx Linux SDK. Okay, we'll download this guy, and I'll click on download. This may take some time depending on your internet connection, your internet speed. Okay, I'll click on save. This may take a while. Let me check my internet connection. Yeah, it's pretty slow. Okay, let it download, give it some minutes. Once downloaded, I think it's almost done. Yeah, so once downloaded, we can jump to the documentation. Let's go back to the documentation. Okay, we don't need this. Close this as well. Okay, here. So now we'll go to the documentation. Let's scroll down. Okay, I can click on documentation itself, but okay, okay, reference documentation, and I'll just click on getting started with JFX 11 plus. Yeah, on the left panel you can see these many options: instruction, yeah, install Java, I have installed. We don't have to go through all these things, and you can see three options here: JavaFX and IntelliJ, NetBeans, but we should be looking into JavaFX and Eclipse. Okay, and here's the entire documentation. It's the complete documentation. Okay, but don't worry, you don't have to go through the entire documentation, because whatever you see here, whatever you are seeing here, I have boiled down everything to these 5 steps. Everything boils down to these 5 steps, and that's the agenda of this video, guys. So let's do it quickly. So step 1 is to download and extract the javafx zip. So we have already completed the step 1, we have downloaded it, but yeah, we haven't extracted the folder yet. So let's complete the step 1, and I guess it should be in downloads folder, and yes, here it is downloaded. And now I'm going to extract it. Right click on extract here, and I guess it should be extract. Yeah, here it is. Okay, and yeah, so our step 1 is complete. We have downloaded and extracted it also. Done. So far so good. Now step 2 is to create a user library. Now what is a user library? See what happens when we have a set of jar files. Let's say we have 5, 10, 15 jar files which are used by multiple projects in a common workspace. So instead of providing those jar files again and again to each individual project, what we do is we create a user library to club them together, so that it becomes easy to import one library at once, rather than importing each and every jar file one by one. Imagine you have 100 jar files. So in such a case, it's a good idea to have a library which is common to all, which is common for all the projects. So in our case, we have 8 jar files. I'm talking about these 8 jar files. If you go back to the extracted folder, open this, go to the library, see we have at least 8 jar files. We have 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so instead of providing these 8 jar files to our different projects individually, let's create a user library, a common user library, and add all these jar files there, so that we have to include just one library for each project. Okay, so in our case we have these 8 jar files for javafx specifically. Let's create a user library. Now I'll go back to the IDE. Okay, everything is clean. Now what we have to do is Windows. I'm creating a user library. Let's go back to the steps first. So step 1, I'll just write it down here itself. Okay, this part we have done. Now we are on step 2, which is to create the user library. For that you have to go to the window. After Windows, go to the preferences. Okay, after preferences there should be one Java. Yeah, here click on this arrow, expand it, build path, and then user libraries. If you click here, let me just remove this thing. Let's assume it wasn't there. Okay, it was a previously added library. I just removed it. So what you should be getting a clear screen like this. Okay, now click on new, give it a name. I'll call it JFX11. It can be any name, any user defined name of your choice. It doesn't necessarily have to be JFX11, but let's keep it JFX11 to keep it meaningful. You don't have to click this, just click on OK. And then we'll have to, just a second, user. Okay, but the problem is we are not done yet. The problem is the user library has been created, but it's empty right now. This library is empty. We need to add the jar files. Remember in step 1 we extracted the folder inside the lib. I just showed you here. So we have those 8 jar files. What we have to do, we have to add these jar files into this user library. I'll add all the jars. I'll click on add external jars. Yeah, here I'm doing select this, make sure that this JFX11 is selected, add external jars, go back to the downloads where you have extracted the folder. This is the folder where I've extracted. Click on lib, and these 8 jars we need. Okay, we'll leave this source.zip as it is, it's not required. These 8 jar files, click on open, and yes, it is added. It is already expanded. Let me just collapse these things so that we know that we have the required jar files. So those 8 jar files have been added here into this user library. Done. Now we'll click on apply and close. Now we have the library created. Now we'll go back to the step 3. Just mark it done. We are done with step 3 as well, step 2 as well. Now we have to go to the step 3, and step 3 is to create a new Java project as usual. Okay, so I'll be creating a very simple and usual Java project. I mean, no Maven, no Gradle, no Git, nothing, just plain old Java project. So let's create a project first, and the project name, let it be, what do I call? Let me call it JFX project, or rather call it first JFX project. Okay, default location, environment, JR environment is JDK 11. Okay, not required. We don't need module info.java, that is okay. We'll click on next. Things look fine. I click on finish, and the Java project has been created. Okay, so here what we'll do, I'll create a file here, and I'm going to write a very basic javafx code here. You can skip this part. Okay, you can skip this part because I'll also provide the same code in the description below, so you can skip this and just simply copy paste it from the description below. So now I'll create a file here. Go to this, inside source, new, and we have to create a class. I'll call this class my first fx class. Okay, why class? Will call it my first fx app. Yeah, looks good. And this has to be main. Just click on finish, and this file has been created. Okay, so I have written the code here. Okay, I'll just paste the code in the description below, because this is not a javafx tutorial, so I'll just copy paste it, okay, for now. But let me give you a small description, just a small walkthrough. So this is the class name, my first fx app. Okay, and it has to extend application. I'm laying stress on this part. I'll tell you the reason in a few minutes. I'll tell you the reasons also, that why I'm focusing on this part. So it has to extend application. Then this button class I'm calling because I'll create a stage and I'll just put one button over there. Okay, this has to be the main method. I'll launch it from here, and I think this is misplaced. Let me fix it. Done. And then this method we have to override from this application class. So public void start stage, primary stage throws exception, because otherwise we'll have to use the try catch block, so just throws exception. Then button, created an object of button and just setting the title, click me. StackPane we need a layout, because the stage needs a layout. In which fashion, linear, horizontal, or in which fashion you want to place your components. In our case there's just one component, button, so I'll just use a simple layout, StackPane, one over the other, and added this button here as a children. Now the scene, okay, this is the width and height of the scene and the layout in which we want, and then the scene I'm setting into primary stage, and then I'm just calling this show to make it appear on the screen. So this was the minimal code. Okay, but as you can see, this being done, as you can see, everything is complaining here. See, everything is complaining here. Okay, this is not going to work for now. Why? There is an obvious reason for this. Our program has no idea about this button. Okay, this button, this stage, this StackPane, this scene. Our program has no idea about this. These classes belongs to javafx. So now it's our responsibility to include the library we created in step 2 in the class path of this project. We created the library in step 2, but we did not include it here. We have to do it manually. It's our responsibility to do it as a programmer, as a developer. So now we'll go to this class path. I'll click on the project name. Okay, I'll go to the build path, configure build path. Okay, where did it go? Yeah, here, class path, and I'm going to click on add library. I'm not going to click add jars or add external jars or add variable. I'll just click on add library. After that library, I'll click on user library, click on next, and there is our library which we created in step 2. If you do not have this library or anything, or something is weird on this pane, then I'm sure you have done something wrong in the step 2 itself. So you may need to go back to step 2 and create the library again, or maybe close or reopen your IDE. It happens sometimes. It happens rarely, but it happens sometimes. I'll click on finish, and we'll just expand it and make sure that all the jars are there, and just count them. These should be 8 jars. Okay. Yeah. If not, then your user library was not created properly. You may have to go back to step 2 and create the library again, or maybe, as I said, you can just close your IDE and open it again. It happens very rarely, but give it a try. It happens with me few times. Okay, now I'll just apply and close. Click on apply and then apply and close. This should be sorted out, and no, it will not be sorted out by itself because we have to include them one by one. From the javafx application, for button also we need javafx scene control. What else it is saying? Okay, stage we need to do fx stage. For what is this? Set title. Okay, we'll see that. We'll come to that. And then layout. It's not set title actually, this is set text. And yeah, then scene we have to include, and yes, everything is resolved. So the problem was that we forgot to, or we did not include the library. So make sure that you include the library also. Creating the library is not enough. You have to include it, and you have to do it for every other JavaFX project. Okay, now let's run the code. And yes, I'm getting this message. It's not working. It says JavaFX runtime components are missing and are required to run this component, this application. So this happens because of this line. That's why I was laying stress on this. I was highlighting this part. So this happens because of this line. So what's happening here? JavaFX checks Java 11 or above checks if the main class extends application class or not. If yes, then we also need to import JavaFX graphics module. I'll write it down here. The name is, I'll just comment it out, JavaFX graphics. Graphics module. It's a module that we need to add it in the module path. Okay, I'll just remove it from here, and we do not include it as a jar or a library. I'll show you how to do it. So we'll have to go back to the, let me first go back to the PPT. Let's see what we have done, and this also we have completed. Done. And this step also we have completed. I'll write done. Now we are on the last part, which is include JavaFX graphics module in the module path using VM arguments. So let's do it quickly. Let's go to the step 5. So it looks very tedious. It sounds very dicey or tedious job, but it's a very simple. It's pretty simple. So let's do it. I'll go back to the IDE. Let me save. Okay, it's already saved. Go to the run. Okay, this is run, and I'll go to the run configurations. Okay, here I have selected this guy. my first application, my first FX app. From here I'll go to the arguments. Okay, program arguments will not touch, we are interested in VM arguments. Okay, so for VM arguments, what we have to do, we have to add one argument here, and that we can get it from the official documentation itself. Let me scroll down, and yeah, see, they have also mentioned this warning. If you are, so this is what we are getting, right? JavaFX runtime components are missing, and they are also saying that Java 15, whatever they are using, checks if the main class extends this guy application. So, and we need to add the VM arguments, which is step 3 for them. I'll just copy paste. Since I'm using Linux, I'll use this. Otherwise, we could have used Windows. Just copy this command, this path, and I'll paste it here. And this needs a little tweak. So this is path to Java, this guy, and up till lib. I'll replace this part, and I'll replace this with our lib. Okay, not this. So this is where we have, this is the download folder. Let me do it from the starting. This is a download where we downloaded, extracted. We'll go inside that. This is lib. Okay, we need this guy, this location we need. Just copy this, go back to the IDE, and I'll paste it here. Okay, home expert download javafx, this, and mind the gaps here. There is one space, and we need lib, up till lib we need. Okay, this, and here also there is one space. This being done, I'll click on apply, and then I'll click on close. Let's see if it runs now. But I'm not very confident with this approach, because due to some reason, it's my personal reason, due to some technical reasons, it never works for me. I don't know why. I don't know whether there's a problem with my IDE settings, or I messed up with the path that I provided. So let me first try, and then we'll go to the next approach. And yeah, it worked for now, but few times it never works for me. Maybe the reason is that we have to copy paste the this path of the library into that module path. Sometimes it never works. So what we can do is, there's one more approach. I have figured out one more approach, one more way to do this. Click on this icon, okay, and just search string substitution. So for me, it is already displayed as a recent choices because I do this a lot, but we can do this string substitution. Here it is, string substitution, run debug. Click here. Okay, after you click at this place, then we should be looking at, just a second, yeah, string substitution. Yeah, here we are. Now we have to click on new. There are no substitution right now. We'll just click on new. What it will do, so the entire path that you are giving there, it can be substituted here as a variable. So the variable I'll call, I'll just call it, let's say, path to fx. Okay, and the value we can browse. So we can click on browse, go to the downloads, and here it was downloaded, right, up till lib. We want lib. Open, make sure this path is correct. So this is the same path that we provided there up till lib. So what happens, sometimes we are not able to type the path correctly, or we mess up with these slashes. So it's a good idea to do it like this. Okay, description is not required. I'll just click on OK, apply and close. Now I can go back to the run configuration, arguments, and instead of this guy here, however it's working for now, but instead of doing this, what you can do is, it's very simple, and just say path to fx, and mind the gap here also. Just click on apply, click on close, run it again. It should work, and yes, it's working. So you can do it both the ways, both will work. Okay. That being said, finally it's working. Uh, and yeah, it's working now finally. So we have integrated javafx in Eclipse IDE. So the basic code is up and running. You can enhance the application, do your projects. Okay, it's just you and your creativity. So all the best for that. So tomorrow when you have other javafx projects, you just have to include this library and set the module part like this, and you are good to go. So that's all for today. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. See you in the next video.